How's your day today?
Great, Alhamdulillah. Can't complain. It's a new day. It's a weekend.
Hmm.
So yeah, lots of opportunities to enjoy, spend time with friends.
Today is going as per what you have planned.
Today is going as exactly as per what I've planned.
Is it? Because
Yes.
a while back you mentioned that you did not have your breakfast. Somehow you
I didn't have my breakfast, but the team
Yeah.
of Karak Chat has been kind enough to get me some.
get you so much.
I'm not gonna take any names, but
No, I think we can take this name before we officially start.
Yeah.
Welcome to the new episode of Karak Chat with our guest,
Yeah.
Haseeb Malik.
Hi, guys.
Enjoying this beautiful cup of tea from Philly.
Indeed.
Still don't sponsor us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Philly,
So
please.
would appreciate if all of our listeners to subscribe to us first of all. 70% of you haven't subscribed to us,
Yes.
and also tag Philly and ask them to sponsor us.
Subscribe.
You, Mr. Vishall.
Nothing, man. Just Philly, sir. I have approached you over Instagram
Many times.
many times. Please reply to my
Without
message.
luck. Yeah.
And maybe with this snippet, I'm going to tag you for sure. So let's see if you can still respond to my message, and even if it is a no, but it will be really appreciated from your side, and we'll be very happy once we see a message from your side.
Inshallah.
Okay, just to give our listeners a background on Mr. Haseeb. Mr. Haseeb, born and brought up in Dubai, studied here, went to uni in Ireland, did accountancy and finance. I'm not sure if that was his best decision or not. We'll find out. Came here working in Dubai now for almost, what?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years. Roughly 4
Yeah,
years.
roughly 4 years. Mr. Vishal, you can ask your question now.
Hot seat questions.
Yes. How are you feeling today?
Feeling very good, Alhamdulillah. I'm very happy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. And how is this good feeling driven by? Or what is driving this good feeling?
Good question. Very deep question.
This was not part of the list I sent him, but yeah.
It's fine. There's a few ways to answer it, but
Yes.
there was this one video. I'm gonna quote Rajpal Yadav. I was watching one of his podcasts, and he said, "If you get up in the day and you have your legs working and you're walking around, I think that's all the reason for you
Yeah.
to be to know that you have a good day ahead of you and that you're able to achieve the things you want." So yeah, I have that, thankfully. So if anything, all the more reason to be grateful. And yeah, it's a weekend. My family's here. I'm with my friends. I'm having a good podcast. I'm looking forward to this. So yeah, I'd say it's a good day. It's a great day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You want to ask anything else?
No, I don't want to ask anything else. I think
All right, see you guys.
we can start. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you already started, Vishal.
Yes. No, we can start with the formal questions.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
So Haseeb, as I mentioned, you studied accountancy and finance.
Yeah.
All the way in Ireland. Why Ireland? Why this topic? Why this subject?
Okay, I was good at this since, when it came to my GCSEs, I had both physics and chem, and I had business and accounting, and I saw myself performing really well, and I had a great teacher, to be honest. I think the credit where I'd give credit where credit due. I think if you have a good mentor when it comes to work, or if you have a very good teacher when it comes to a certain subject, they can just clarify your concepts, build your knowledge around it.
Yeah.
So that was primarily why, I went for the subject. My parents guided me towards it as well. And yeah, I had a strong suit for accounting all throughout. So I pursued it for my bachelor's as well. The thing with Ireland, that was an interesting decision. That wasn't part of the plan. Part of the plan was to go to Germany for a bachelor's.
Okay.
But they have a different set of requirements. What they need you to do is they need you to do 4 A-levels, one of which needs to be a language and one of which needs to be a social science.
Okay.
And that's something I hadn't done. And at the time, when everyone around you is going for uni and you're seeing people getting accepted,
Exactly,
you're very eager to travel and just go. So I think maybe I wasn't patient enough to go ahead and do 2 more subjects. And so then I looked, I did my research, and I came across this beautiful campus in Ireland, which is Northern Ireland. The place is called Belfast. It's the capital of Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And their top university is Queen's University
Okay.
Belfast, and they were pretty high ranked when it comes to the subject.
Accountancy finance.
accountancy and finance, and it was a 3-year course. It would have been a very interesting choice for me as well. I have lived in the UK for some time, but I never visited Ireland, so it was something that I thought if I pursue it, it's gonna be full of it might be full of a new adventure or a new experience that I haven't come across. So I made the choice, and it turned out to be great. So 3 years spent there. Amazing place.
So before going to Ireland, was Germany your top choice, or was it like it's just an option? And did you ever consider also staying in the UAE?
Okay, UAE no, because part of my learning was I wanted to live alone, which is something I'd never done in my life, and that was something that I prioritized when it came to like going out for my education. And then Germany happened because Desi parents. So they were like, we can't let you go travel that far away, and all of the concerns which any typical Desi parents would have. So I do have family in Germany, so that's why they were like, okay, there's family. I told them it doesn't matter, but they were adamant that go live somewhere close to family. So that's how the decision. So then that since it didn't work out, I let my mom pick my uni for me. Actually. Yeah. So I gave her a few options across the UK, and she looked at Queens, and there was some intuition. I don't know what it is, but the parents have it. So they were like, this seems like the place to go, and then I ended up there.
And it was worth it.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Okay, but what's the application process like? How do you apply in these universities?
Yeah, typically if it's a high ranked uni, if it's a business subject, they're definitely going to ask you for maths, and they're going to ask you for a high grade. Good unis won't accept anything less than an A or an A star, depending on their rankings. But typically the minimum requirement is the AAB, somewhere within that range. But what interestingly enough, they basically try to capitalize as much of the market as they can. So what they do these days is they have pathway programs, which is something on the side. So if there's students who haven't achieved the very high grades, they're still able to go into these unis, but they don't get a first year direct admission into these universities. It's either a foundation program, or you do the first year as is. If let's say you've gotten like 2 Bs and a C, and you don't qualify for the direct first year entry. They have these subsidiary firms who, what they do is they'll call in these students to spend the year on their campus, not on the main campus. And then they're going to teach you the same things the main campus does.
Right.
So you go to these places, you do a year, and then if you qualify for the second year, then you join your first semester or first year batch, which got into the uni directly. So they train you on the side. So they just capture the extra market. But since they don't want to ruin the standards of their application process, they don't take you in directly.
So is this happening in the country of where the university is, or is it happening at the home?
No, it's their learning place is right next to the main campus. That's the interesting thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't feel detached. You're still part of the experience.
So you're still experiencing.
Yeah, you're still experiencing.
Yeah, but okay, even if you have low grades, you get a chance to experience it, and then maybe the next year you have the chance of getting an admission.
Into the second year.
Into the second.
And you're going to join the batch who directly went
right.
to the main campus and did their first year there.
Right.
Right. Did you ever consider going outside to study?
No, actually. No, actually, I had when I was back in India, I had a thought of like, maybe I should go to US after my 12th standard, but then I don't know, for some reason my parents did not
let you.
It's
always the parents.
For some reason. And my mom, she didn't answer. I remember I asked, and my mom, she didn't answer anything, but it was my dad who was like, who gave a straight no. And I never asked him the reason why.
Oh, man. Next time you can.
Huh?
Next time when you talk to him, you can.
Yeah, next time I'll just go and ask him. But my dad has his own thoughts and his own principles in life. I don't know.
I mean, if he did, then we wouldn't be sitting here, right? So.
Yeah, that's also the...
So
all the dots are always connected.
Exactly. So Haseeb, how different was Belfast compared to Dubai, and how did you adjust?
Man, huge difference. If you go otherwise to mainland, which is like London, Manchester, these places, you'll find a very vibrant community, same as Dubai, expats, lots of places to eat according to your choices. So whatever you want to find, it's a multinational community, XYZ. Belfast, it's still the biggest city in Northern Ireland, but comparatively, it's sort of like a suburb in a way.
Yeah.
Everything shuts down at 3 or 4, mostly locals. When I went, there was very few expats.
Okay.
So I think I'm from Pakistan, obviously. So there were, I think, aside from me, there were like 3 other Pakistanis at the time, and most of it, everyone else was mostly Irish.
Yeah.
And the first impression I had was when I got out of the airport and I told the taxi driver, like, I want to go to my accommodation. I don't know what he said. I completely went over my head. I just hoped that he'd understood what I'd asked him. And I just shut my eyes and I was like, I hope I reach my dorms, and I did. So I was like, yeah, that's a good sign. But it took me a while to get used to the way they talk, their accent. It's quite different. And all the it's a student city, so all the students who would come would be from areas in the neighboring areas. So on the weekends they'd travel back to their home to see their parents. So the city would be dead, you know, on the weekends. Ideally, you'd expect that on the weekend it's lively, there is crowd. You know, all the fun stuff used to happen throughout the week on the weekdays. On the weekends, it was dead. So that was something that was quite different for me. It's a very cold place, lots of rain, lots of wind. So if you're someone who struggles with cold weather, it's not for you. But other than that, it's very calm. The people are nice. Sometimes they do have, because they haven't maybe come across that many expats in the city, sometimes they're a little bit, they don't know how to approach you, or they don't know what are the things they should talk to you about. But if you do open up to them, trust me, they're not going to stop talking. Like, they're going to maybe consume the entire evening, and they're just going to talk about their life and family and kids and wives and fights and everything, their childhood, their traumas, their passion. So yeah, it's nice. It was nice.
Did you do the same with them? Or you just listening?
Man, they never gave me a chance to talk, to be honest. I was more curious. But I made some good friends. I've had good conversations. I learned about the culture. So all in all, great.
You're still in touch with them?
Yeah, I do speak to them. Some of them time to time. Yeah.
Okay, just to make things easier for me, because we have mentioned so many countries right now. So we understand the airline connection, then the UK connection and Germany. Can you just put it in simple words? Why did we mention about UK? Why did we mention about Germany? And why did we mention about Ireland?
Okay, Germany was the first choice of education because my parents wanted me to go. And no other reason.
Right.
Yeah. And it's cost effective as well for those. It's more cost effective. Second choice was the UK because we've lived there.
Right.
And out of the UK, I let my mom pick which campus I should go to. So she picked Queen's. And I obviously when it came to, I gave her the list based on the rankings and the places I wanted to go. So I was fine with anything she picked out of that box because it was all within the pool of my choices, you know. So whatever she picked, I was fine with it. So I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you graduated in the year 2019.
2019. Yes.
Did you consider like staying there and working, or how's the job culture there? Was that an option, or you're like, no, I want to come back to Dubai?
Okay. I did consider working there. I applied to many jobs.
Okay.
I went through a lot of applications and assessment processes. One mistake I made was I was targeting Ireland or the Northern Ireland as a place to find a job. Why? Because I found it very peaceful. You know how some places feel very cramped and there's a lot happening and there's so many people trying to go after the same thing. It wasn't one of those places. It's one of the cheapest cities to live in the UK.
Okay.
So the rents are very low. Otherwise, prices are very low. So that was great. And I was kind of settled now. I knew the places. I knew where to get. So I was like, yeah, this is good. And the people are very good. The people they just seem like very nice people to work with. So all in all, it seemed like a great place to work. Now, since this part of Ireland comes within the UK. Yeah. There is this benchmark salary that you have to get annually for a company to be able to sponsor you. Okay. And this benchmark salary is set according to the companies which are based in the mainland. So Manchester, London. And their salaries, of course, would be much higher. Why? Because the cost of living to these cities are much higher. Yeah. Belfast wouldn't offer you the same kind of salary, or Belfast and rest of Northern Ireland. Why? Because the cost of living is way less. I wasn't familiar with this sort of thing. Yeah. So I just before exiting the country, before my visa expired, I actually had a interview with one of the big 4 firms, not going to specify which one. And I got selected, and the hiring individual really appreciated my presentation. And he said, like, you're a good candidate and stuff. And then we spoke about, okay, he thought maybe I live here, or I do have a residency status in this. And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, oh, but we can't sponsor you. And I was like, why? And he's like, this is the salary thing. And that's when I realized, I kind of made a mistake with that. But people do stay back. those who want to amplify their chances of finding a job whilst you're doing your university, either you go for an industrial placement, which is like 1 year of work before you do your 4th year, or you do multiple internships. I used to travel back to summer, come see my parents. There was always this thing.
Yeah.
But people do stay back and they work at banks. They work, if you're in finance, you'd go to work with Barclays or Citibank or HSBC or whatever. And once you work, you've built some rapport with these companies. So it's very likely that networking there is very, very highly appreciated. That concept of networking is very strong. If you go to career fairs or if you have different things happening around campus and you go meet employers, it's gonna stand out for you when you do your job applications. It's like a fast track to at least getting your name somewhere within the consideration files or whatever, you know. As opposed to just cold applications or just applying online. But their HR processes are considerably professional. They do always reach out to you. They do tell you that, you know, if they don't want to hire you, they do give you some sort of feedback. You can request that. There is a process in place. You know, it's not just like I sent 100 CVs and I got no reply. Not necessarily every place does that, but I had a better experience when it came to applying for jobs. So that's what happened. So I came back, but I guess everything happens for a reason. So,
But was it because, as you mentioned, like, you know, like normally during the vacation, people go there and, like, you know, they apply for internships. Well, it was for you, it was more of like coming back and
home,
visiting the family, right? But was it with that mentality? Okay, like, you know, I would anyways go back home and I would rather apply the jobs there rather than working over here. What was your, like, at that time, what was your, like, present, I would say, at that time, what were you thinking about your overall job landscape?
To be honest, I was a little bit behind when it came to planning. I just thought, ideally, you get a degree and you get a job. I didn't know the hurdles that are there in the middle. I noticed some of the other students were very well prepared or very sharp in that sense. They were planning ahead of time. They were making sure they capitalize on these internship opportunities to get any work experience that they can, even if it were something as small as doing an odd job. You know, I didn't do that. I was busy playing football. Busy. But I noticed some of them planned really well and they did execute their plans. I was a little bit behind. I just thought, okay, you know, just right before uni ends, I'll start applying a semester in advance and that's going to work out for me. But not necessarily, I didn't have the right set of information, for example. Like I said, I got caught up into a small technical detail at the end and that just didn't work out in my favor for that place. But I wasn't very adamant that that's where I want to work.
Right.
You know, I wasn't adamant. I didn't have any obsessions with this is the only place I want to work or this is the only place I'll do a job. That wasn't the case. My parents were here. My parents were working here. I was happy to come back and work here as well. But ideally, I did want to give it my one good try, you know, to find it because I did like the place. It's not like but I like Dubai as well. So that's why I said it's a win-win.
I think before moving on to your journey in Dubai, in regards to Belfast, do you miss it and would you ever consider going back there? Like,
yeah, I miss it. I miss certain things about that. Every place has its pros and cons. Obviously, I miss the good things. I'd love to visit again. But the people that were with me are now in different places, so I wouldn't know anyone there as such, aside from the few friends that I made there. But yeah, if given the chance, and even if given the chance to work there, I'd go and work there, even today. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's the year 2019. You're back in Dubai.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind? You're still looking for a job. What are you doing? What were your next steps?
2019, I come back.
Play football.
Huh?
Play football.
I come back. I sustained an injury to my right knee, which was an ACL injury. So at the time, when I came back, I rested for a bit because it had just happened right before traveling back to Dubai. And then I started looking for jobs like in a month. I took some time for a month or two just to chill and have a good time with my family. And I started looking for jobs, and that's when I realized. that's when it hit me like a spear that you know it's not that easy. Lots of applications, and I'll share something interesting with you. I started off with looking for finance graduate jobs, and I really wanted to test the waters as to how I'm gonna apply to which extent, and I'll still won't find a job. So I went all the way down to the guys who you have in your hotels doing your laundry and stuff, just to see, do I get a response? I even applied for hotel receptionist positions. I was like, anything at this point, because I'm applying so much and I'm getting nothing.
Yeah.
What I used to do was I used to get up, have my breakfast and everything, hit the gym, take a shower, and then there was this coffee shop near my house, and I'd spend almost 4 or 5 hours every day trying to connect with people, trying to find a job. But for the longest, there was no luck, and eventually I reached.
For anything?
No.
Well, okay.
No. And then eventually I reached out to a friend of mine who was working in one of the big fours, and I asked him if he could refer me to an internship, and he did, and that sort of worked out.
Okay.
And the way that worked out, and if I put that into perspective with the way I was applying, the kind of effort that consumed, there's no match, there's no overlap. This just happened like this, and that wasn't happening for at least good 3 months.
So the moral of the story is connections matter.
Honestly, they do.
Yes.
And I think you're someone who can vouch for that.
Oh yeah, of course I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Of course I'm someone. Of course. Who do you think you're talking to? It's me.
So that was a big man now. He's always been a big man.
No, but before going, I was just listening to your whole, I would say, journey from your university to finding a job, right? And not to put it in a rude way, but I guess it's the general feeling that everyone has that until they finish the university, they think that they are the king of the world. But as soon as they pass out from the university, reality hits them.
Yeah.
Like now they know that they're part of the rat race.
And then they pass out one more time. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's I think it's common. It's harsh truth.
Yeah. It's a good reality check.
So you get that job. What was that job like? The nature of the job, position you got?
I worked as an audit intern.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a 6-month thing, but it elapsed earlier, within 4 months, I believe, because that's when COVID came through, and they were the first. Obviously, whenever it's something like this, although I haven't seen many plagues in my life, but if there was one, it's always the people at the bottom of the pyramid who get thrown out first. So my exit was due, and it happened in due time. But anyways, experience was great. I think it was intense learning. It was, again, an audit position, so there's a lot of engagements. You have to go to clients, you have to review their financials, test out their ledgers and stuff. More so than the work, or the work itself was great because there's a lot of technical learning, but it's the environment that I got exposed to. It's like you go in and everyone's switched on, and oddly enough, first few days at the job, just giving you perspective, I was sat next to someone and they were teaching, and I'm eager to learn. I'm like, I am well versed. I'm gonna learn quickly and show them that I can really do, this normal person having graduated ready to take on the world. And then I'm sat next to someone who's supposed to teach me the things, and I was like, I'm ready to learn and stuff. So I'm like, let's start. And so she gave me some file to open, and I opened it and I started asking questions about it. And she just looked at me and she goes like, I'll tell you what to do, when to do.
Oh.
This is like my second week at work. And I was very caught off guard that people can talk to each other like that. Because never happened to me, right? It's part of learning, by the way. You don't know because you've never went into a workplace before. Similarly, I made friends with the guys. We had a great chat in the pantry. Hi, hello, introductions. Who are you? Everything. And then 2 days down the line, he walks past me, and I was looking at him, making eye contact, so that when he connects with me, we're gonna say hi. Just walks right past.
This was from the client side, or
no? This was within the workplace. So I'm not trying to bash anyone specifically. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the work, or that introduction to that pace, because everyone switched on and no one has time for that. It's something. It's something.
I agree with you, because when I was working or in a junior position at one of the big fours, and when I went there, and so I was like, you have the trainee or the intern, then you have the associate, then the senior associate, and the partner. So majority of the time I was working with the associate, and he had the same reaction to the one you faced. Like, I'll tell you what to do, when to do. And that's what I was feeling too. And I'm like, how will I learn? And up until a senior associate came and he's like, why aren't you teaching him? And then I'm like, okay, so it's not just like, it's not like a thing where it happens, just they're so busy with their thing. And I asked him, he's like, look, and he told me and the senior associate, like, look, I want to make sure it's correct. We have a reputation to, maintain. And that's why I rather have him do what I'm doing and learn that way rather than me teaching him and wasting my time. And I saw a disconnect between the senior associate and the associate. He's like, no, that's not how we should be performing, because if he comes in and becomes full-time, then what? So again, I think that's just the nature of the audit in Big Fours, and I hope it changes. I'm not sure if it has or not.
I don't think it will, but yeah.
Did you ever end up working late hours like we normally see with the auditors?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day.
That
was my life. Every day.
I'll
tell you the funny thing. The first client I got was an airline hangar. Okay. So this place was very far away. And my job was to get up. I was the person who would wake up first.
Yeah.
I'd go from Sharjah, I'd go to Stadium Metro Station. I'd collect my team.
Yeah.
And then I'd drive to this hangar. And then I go there and I get no work at all day. This happened for a month, the first month.
Okay.
So all I'm doing there is I'm walking around their offices, and there's different sort of cabin crews interviewing for their positions and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just staring into the rooms, looking at what's happening and just exploring what an aircraft hangar looks like. And in the evening, I dropped them back to the metro station and I'd go home. And this was me for the first month. But I did it.
Yeah.
And I hated it, but I did it because I was desperate that they'd give me, and I would go up to them, but they're like, sorry, they point blank told me, this is a big engagement. We don't have time to teach you, but you have to be here. So, okay.
Remember how you were looking for a hotel reception or any position? I think you got the driver one.
I got the driver. I got the glorified chauffeur. Because I used to wear a suit to work. So. But man, that was my first limo experience, limo driving experience. But yeah, that was the first month of that. But then the next month onwards, I learned a lot. I went on engagements from a plastic surgeon and his clinic to a sewage plant that exists 80 kilometers in the desert of Sharjah, and no one knows about it. Like generally, the general public doesn't know about it. And what's the work? What are the works they're doing? They take sewage water and they take the bio stuff and they're converting it into fuel, and they're creating an oasis from the leftover water, and they're trying to start it off as a tourist attraction. And this is something I never knew. And when I was doing the engagement there, it was peak summer and they had wooden cabins, and there was just one air conditioner that was in their managing director's office.
Was that their office?
That was their office. And the rest of them there were like four other guys, and they used to sit with their windows open. Peak, it was like extremely hot and it smelled extremely bad.
Because of the whole sewage.
Because of the whole sewage situation. And they were still setting up the offices. So they didn't have proper electrical work done and the infrastructure. And I used to wear a suit, and you couldn't take, and you have to sit there and work. And like, that teaches you, man. That teaches you some things, I hated that at the time. I was going to call up I knew this was an assignment dumped on me, literally. And and I was going to call him up and be like, I can't do this because I have to drive 90 kilometers. And I had to pick up the person as well who was with me. It was just one person. And drop her back off as well. I was about to make the call, and I told that person, I was like, no, let's just leave it, let's just try and push through and let's see what happens. And we did, and we had a great time, by the way.
Struggle at that time, and look at how you are talking about
it's not like I'm driving Lambos on the street. But yes, every experience adds up a little bit, and there's value added. And at that point, obviously, it was maybe I was at the peak of my frustration in that moment. Now I can look back and talk about it.
But at that stage, at that time, you think that, why is it happening just to me?
To me.
But right now, if there is some other fresh graduate who's just doing the same job as yours, what you were doing then, they would also be thinking like, why is this happening to me?
But
everyone has to go through that same struggle to reach somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
That was one of the engagements, and I worked in a cement trading company. Those few engagements collectively after the internship ended, there were about 5 months that I didn't have a job. So I didn't get depressed. Actually, it was kind of weird because I was really looking forward to getting hired. And it even happened that at the very end, I was doing a lot of work. I did eventually start getting very engaged with work. And everyone had very good feedback for me. And then the way I was let go was, please return your laptop tomorrow to the office.
And that's it.
On Teams. Yeah, that's about it,
Oh,
Like, I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put down a place.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying I learned a lot with them. Some of the people were very good.
Yeah.
I could truly say you're going to turn out to be a very good professional if
Yeah.
you do work with them, technically very sound. And even the sort of personality you need to build to survive in the working world, you will sort of, mold yourself into
yeah,
that.
the day you learn something.
But it's a high pressure and
Exactly,
everyone's
yeah.
competitive. So you will face the whatever comes from that, in terms of the social attributes in people and those so on and so forth.
I think, same.
No, but let's take a little bit the camera focus towards you. I want to hear something from your side,
Yeah.
because did you do something similar to...
That's what I was going to say right now, because, I mean, in terms of work-wise, okay, I didn't have to go all the way, 80 kilometers just outside of the city. But for me, I would say I was a very spoiled brat when it came to traveling. I never used the metro in my life. And at that time, I returned my car back. I sold off my car, 2019. So at that time, I was working for one of the big fours, and my first client was in the World Trade Center. And I was like, you know what, this is great. I just sit on the bus, go to one of the metro stations, and go there and easy. All the time I used to like the Bergman area. I used to get the bus from there. I was like, man, thank God I'm not working here, right? I was like, man, look at it's traffic and the people and building not my type, like old buildings.
Yeah.
Now I was working my first client was in like a hotel building, so I was like, man, this is great. Next month, new client right in front of the bus stop.
No way.
And I was like, oh my God. But, great people, like, very nice people. It was some sort of energy company. And learned a lot over there. And then again, I'm using the metro and I'm using the red line. And I'm like, what is this green line? I'm like, thank God, I don't think you use that
use
one.
the green line. And the next engagement.
Next month, I'm somewhere there, somewhere near that
You're on the green line.
Gold Souk area, and I'm like, I've never been to this part of Dubai.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my suit, and I'm walking down, and I'm going through a alley, and I'm seeing people doing shisha on the pavement, and I'm like, what part of Dubai am I in? And I went to some old local tourism company. They're a pretty big group, but their head office was there from like over like 30, 40 years. So, but that was an interesting experience. And then COVID happens. COVID happens, exactly the same thing. And one of where I was working there, they also were hired, they were outsourcing someone for tax audits separately.
Okay.
And that person was a Filipino, and she was sitting with me and she started coughing. I was like, are you okay? And she has a joke said, and my manager stopped coming because he got sick.
Okay.
And she has a joke said, oh, my roommate is Chinese and she was coughing. So we could be COVID. And I'm like, listen. No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, up until that point, I'm not going to be racist. And I'm going to think about it. It's okay. You know what? Like, the whole thing, like, it's fine. If she's Chinese, not mean she just came from China, right?
Yeah.
She's like, no, she just came from China 2 weeks back. I'm like, yep, you know what? I'm out.
See ya. Bye.
I went.
Bye.
I told my manager, listen, I'm feeling sick too. He's like, okay, work from home.
Yeah.
2 weeks working from home. Got the same. I got an email, though, saying we're letting go of, like, around 200 people.
Privilege.
I was like, okay. And then, 3 months, no job.
Yeah.
So that was a weird time because I was like, okay, like I was learning a lot. I was about to get an offer too. Yeah, they were like, you know what, it's done. You get an offer. And the conversation was going on, and the next day it was like, yep, sorry, taking it back. These many people are off. We let it go because we're facing a lot of.
That was the
costs.
COVID situation.
COVID situation.
Okay.
But in terms of traveling and stuff, it wasn't as bad as yours. I still alhamdulillah had AC where I was working. So that was
nice.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
Okay, but okay, so you both have done account and finance.
Yeah.
Both of them started with an audit internship.
Yes.
In the Big Four.
Yes.
My first internship was as a finance or tax intern, but during university time actually.
Okay. But then
right after graduation,
yes.
I did a traineeship. It was a bit different. It's more like you'll get hired eventually.
Okay.
So that was a bit different, yeah.
Okay, but that wasn't a Big Four.
Yeah.
Who's the lucky intern in account finance?
What do you mean?
As in, like, I get it now that audit is a little bit painful when it comes to working and the hours and everything. So who's the lucky intern? Like, what is
I got
very
your point.
easy internship, like,
I
you know,
think
not as painful as
He's asking like instead of being an audit intern, you
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
different
yeah.
because
I think if you get into a graduate program, which is a pathway program, so it's a year-long thing that might end up with you, or it is essentially designed for you to fast track into sort of like an assistant manager or manager position.
Right.
That could happen with MNCs. Again, not gonna take the names, but
So there is a graduate program with MNCs.
yeah, a lot of companies
Oh, okay.
have graduate. You have it with banks, you have it with FMCG
So this
companies.
is happening while you are in the university.
When you pass out, yeah.
When you pass out, after
Yeah.
you pass out from
You
the
can
university.
start applying in your last.
You get selected towards your end of year. Like,
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
right after graduation, but
Yeah.
before graduation you need to apply.
So if you get that with a good company, amazing. That's perfect. And I
That's
think,
for like 2 years.
yeah.
That program.
It depends.
Yes.
Depends on the company, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you aim to become a finance manager down the line,
Right.
yeah, audit is the place to go. You're lucky if you got an internship with it.
Because I know
audit.
that yes, audit is painful, but people who are in the auditing as well as earn a lot comparatively.
See, the thing is, you get exposure to so many industries and their financials. That's
Right.
number one.
Yeah.
You understand the financial structure. You've done testing on it, so you know the control process. You know the start to end process. You know how to test those financials as well. So when you're testing something, you know the ABCs of that process, right?
Right.
That's you go on so many different engagements, and it's not like you go there and you work on your own. You're constantly engaged with their finance team. So imagine the amount of networking you do within the industry, the kind of connections you have. So down the line, let's say I go to a client and I meet someone and he finds me very charming, like all of you guys do.
Yes, of course. Of course.
So
Yes, you are.
So he might say like, look, I enjoyed working with you. I see potential in you. Why don't you just come join me? And he might pay me a very good salary. It's as simple, you know. Or if you're looking for a position, you now have access to so many people, and they've seen the sort of work you do as well. So that's great. So yeah, that's why audit is like a crash course. So if you stick to it for like 2 years, 3 years, you're pretty much solid in your
But
knowledge.
again, the competition is very high.
Yeah.
Getting into that big.
You got to
four-
compromise on the work-life balance.
Exactly.
Don't expect that. Working weekends.
Like, because back in India, like, you know, we have this, I think Deloitte is Big Four as well, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So the only company that I would hear, because I'm from engineering background, is about Deloitte. And like, you know, they would hire people on the auditing. They have, I think they have a proper vertical for auditing. So they would hire that. And I would hear a lot about them, like, you know, how good they are doing with Deloitte, actually. So, yeah. So why didn't you think, like, you know, continuing with, go ahead with audit?
No, I gave it my best shot, even with the firm that I was.
Right.
At the time of my exit, I tried to reach out my seniors. The guy I was working directly under, he even told me that, you know what, go ahead and tell them you're going to work for free in this COVID period. And I was ready to do that. I did message my seniors and I was like, I'm ready to work for free. He said, just stick around. You just need time. And at the time, I wasn't desperate for money because my dad,
Stick around?
as in, this is a
Without money, just work.
it's a crunch moment for the economy.
Right.
So don't ask for a salary. Don't ask for a full-time position. Just work. Forget the money. You have your parents. You live with your parents. You have a car. You're fine. I was happy to do it. I was like, yeah, I'm down. No problem. I'll do it. Oh, no worries. I'll stick around. Anything. But just didn't work out. They just didn't accept that. Yeah, the way I was hired was, when I went to the interview, I was asked 2 things. What did you study? Can you drive?
You have a license, basically.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
That was my interview.
Yeah.
It was 2 minutes long. And the exit was equally quicker. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like,
My general knowledge is a little low, guys.
Please
so
come
can you
in.
explain me about what are the big fours? Like the big fours. So you
There-
have Deloitte, PwC,
C, KPMG,
KPMG,
and EY.
EY.
Yeah.
So these are the big four.
Yes.
Okay. And all the big fours are in UAE.
I know they're a worldwide company. I mean, they have offices everywhere in the world, and they dominate the client ownership or the client engagement, or they dominate the market with their engagements, basically, when it comes to audits. And they have the highest standards, let's say, or the best qualified employees. They're the biggest names. They compete with each other for the biggest engagements.
Right.
They cater to government sector as well as the private sector. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, getting into them, It's one of the most
It's
difficult things.
it's difficult,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you stick around
Yeah.
and work, it's great. It's a I'm again,
Yeah.
cultures can be difficult, but that's everywhere in
Yeah.
the world. It's not just it's
Yeah.
not specific to one firm. But I'm saying
Yeah.
if you get in there and you get chance to learn, you make sure you
you
get
have-
it,
yeah.
and you will go through a lot. By the
course,
way, there's
yeah.
a whole the roller coaster ride. So be ready for
Man,
that.
I have friends. I had I'm not gonna say friends, but someone I knew in uni, in my uni. She was in the same big four I was working at. She had a breakdown. She was taken to the hospital. Ambulance came in, and and
Because of the work.
yeah, because she's working till like every day 1 a.m., 2 a.m., coming back in the morning 7 a.m. And it was so much deadlines, pressures a lot, and like one day she just had a breakdown and took her to the hospital. Alhamdulillah, she was fine. She came back and she still worked. And now she's getting awards there, certificate. Like it's been there almost like 5-6 years, and it was worth it. And and I have some friends who weren't affected by COVID, stick there, but just weren't cut out for it. But they got better jobs somewhere else. Because they had that experience, like you said, you're exposed to so many different financials, industries that people want to hire you because of your experience and your knowledge.
Even if you go now and you look on the finance and job industry and the sort of JDs you get, it always many of them say Big Four experience preferred.
Yeah.
Big Four experience required.
Right. Okay. Okay. It's like
There's
a
a reason
degree
for
on
that.
its own, basically.
Yeah, it's
like,
and to any young graduate who's coming out to become a finance graduate, I tell him, man, just because there's this whole thing going around about Gen Z sort of mentality about work, mental health, and this and that.
We will discuss that at the end of the podcast.
See, whatever that is, man. Yeah, have it, whatever.
Yeah.
You write your journals the way you want.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. But when you graduated, just put everything aside. Get ready. Like be happy to go into that crunch. It's an experience,
Exactly.
Yes.
Go in as if there's no stakes involved, and you're gonna enjoy it. Enjoy it in the sense that you will come out with something. You're not gonna come out empty-handed. Because many a times when you, for example, I've interviewed a certain bunch of people. And you talk to people and you're like, what did you do in your internship? Nothing, man. I just used to go there and sit. Nothing, man. I just used to go there and chill, man. The bosses were nice and we used to do a little bit of work here and there. Yeah, but what's the point? Why did you get up and go and spend your day? And what did you get out of it? You might as well go and commit your day and your hours to doing something. Exactly. Do as much as you can. Enjoy it. It's going to be difficult. It's going to stress you out, everything. When you come out at the end, you will have a lot of talking points.
Yes, just like now we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I want to get back into that. I want to get back to that part a bit later. But tell us, after you lost your audit position, COVID is there for 5-6 months, you're jobless. Then you get an opportunity. Okay. What was that like in terms of the interview process itself? Were you confident you're going to get it? Because right now, COVID's there. No, it's hard to get a job. So what was happening in your mind at that time? And how was how many places were you applying? You got different positions, which one did you select? Something like, tell me that.
Yeah, I think when this internship ended, I wasn't shattered.
Yeah.
I had expected myself to be way more depressed. I think I was unhappy for like a week. And then I started doing my physio. So I did want to do something productive. And I knew at this time the hiring market is just terrible. But I still kept applying. And I think, so around about September time, I found another internship. It was with the position of receivables, accounts receivables. And I worked in that position for 3 months.
Yeah.
Hiring process was simple enough. I applied through... I forgot actually. It was a portal which was specifically for internships.
I think it was olive.com.
I think so. Yeah, exactly.
The student ones in UAE.
Still exists?
Still exists.
Yeah. I was applying there, and the hiring process, by the way, was great.
Yeah.
They reached out to me very quickly. I was hired. So what happened first was there was this basic introduction and stuff, and then there was an assessment which was like 50 minutes long, and it was straightforward enough. And then I think a week later I was given an answer about this being converted into an internship. It was simple enough and it was quick. It was much better than the rest of the jobs I've applied here. Process was quick.
That's good. I'm glad you had a really good process at this company.
Process was good.
Yeah, so this was the internship for which role, basically?
Accounts receivable.
Account receivable.
It's like collections and
True.
Okay.
invoicing the client.
Completely different from audit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
to the people actually listening, tell them what is account receivables at different position.
Yeah.
Accounts receivable is basically the part where you invoice the clients for the work that you've done. You follow up on the invoices for payments. You record the payments that come in against the invoices that you initially issued. You make sure that the invoice, so it depends. This could fit in any business model.
Yeah.
So if it's something that requires you to calculate, then your calculations have to be accurate. You have to make sure if there's a benchmark against which you are doing the. For instance, if I'm to give you an example, if you're someone who's in an industry where you track something, for instance, you track how much you're making in terms of income. Let's say you're a trader or something, right? Or you're working for a hedge fund or something like that. You're tracking your income basically, and then you get a final set of calculations, which is what you invoice. So you compare that against to what you tracked initially, and if there's a difference, it's variance, right? If it could be positive, it could be negative. So there's an analysis of the variances, like were you in a surplus throughout the year, or were you in a deficit? Based on that, you provide information to the tracking team that you need to adjust your calculations because the variances are high.
So it's not just invoicing.
It depends how this cycle is accommodated in the business model.
Okay.
If it's a straightforward model, like you're buying some sort of furniture and selling it, the accounts receivable guy has just invoice for the furniture, and if it's on credit terms, he just has to follow up on the invoice.
Okay.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I'm going to attack you with a question because this is completely a little personal to me.
Attack.
Why don't you people like account receivable pay the clients on time?
You people. Actually, no. It's receivables is not the part or is not the function that pays. It's payables.
Oh.
Payables are the people.
Okay, so what is payables and what is receivables?
Yes.
Payables is the exact opposite. So just like you're invoicing your clients, there you are.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I understand the logic. Okay. So receivables means, if I'm in a receivable team, I send the invoice
to the client,
and the client pays me.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And in the payable, I will receive the invoice
from your suppliers,
from the supplier, and I will pay it to the supplier.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the attack you were for.
So the attack was not for you.
For me.
Sorry,
Wrong.
sorry.
Sorry.
So sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were in payables, ideally people would like to hold on to the money because cash flow is a floating boat for any business. Cash is king. It's without good cash flow, no company can float essentially. So
and the thing is, a lot of companies delay their payments because end of month, so they want to show a bit of higher profit or
higher cash balance
in the reportings.
Right.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the finance manager or the manager of the team as well.
The policy a company has, how good they are. Some are terrible when it comes to paying their suppliers, and they eventually do face the consequences because market has its way of correcting itself.
Right.
So the perception drops amongst well-known suppliers and they stop working.
Right.
And that's how you so you need to have good management. If you come to the forefront with the idea that, I am not going to pay my suppliers, regardless, they're going to work for me because I give them business. Right. Doesn't work like that.
Okay. So now I'm connecting the thought. That's why the payables team basically have these deadlines like, we need to receive the invoices by so and so date.
Yeah.
If you want the payments done by end of the month,
correct,
or start of the month. Right?
Yeah, it could be due to a few reasons: working their workload, designing their payment calendars, assessing their future cash needs. Right. So they want invoices collected by a certain date.
So that's why, send the invoices to us by the first week, so that you receive the payments by end of the month.
Yeah.
Because they have to do there's so much of process involved and there's so much of, I would say, what is that word? They have to basically kind of the reporting and everything that.
Yeah. Month end stuff. Month end stuff.
Okay. Accruals or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Balance sheet. And I think maybe you profit. This is throw everything in the pot.
I'm not a finance guy.
No, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
to clarify to everyone, payables, receivables, they don't just do part of money handling part. There's also, like you said, the reporting part end of month. Right. They have to balance everything out, see matching. There's all the matching part, making it very simple for you to understand this. Mm-hmm. There are other financial terms for these, so it's more like the financial reporting, the recording. So all of that goes in hand too, and that's where end of month is always crucial for all the accountants and the finance team. Mm-hmm. So
basically to do forecasting as well, right?
That's a completely different topic.
Okay.
a different topic.
Okay. Sorry.
Forecasting.
Sorry to
budgeting,
get the new word.
Forecasting, budgeting all happened at the start of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But moving onwards, you're working your internship. You get a full-time position. Was there a big change in terms of the interning or the full-time part? Or?
Man, honestly, from 2019 onwards, like for me, the changes were very swift.
Yeah.
There were many, and they were very swift. And I think not just for me, a lot of people experienced that time sort of lost its value between right before COVID and after COVID. There's been like you haven't been able to sort of look back and say, yeah, this is how my time floated. Like you just know highlights of your year. You can't really tap into the exact stuff that happened, It's like a flashback of some sort. So, or the story changing. So for me, I was within this internship. I was trying my best to get hired. And again, I was in a relaxed state of mind because I'm just at the start of my career. I'm trying to gather whatever flowers I can, So this was happening, and all of a sudden, my parents were traveling to Pakistan, and my dad worked as an oil engineer here. And he was in Pakistan, and he got COVID at the time, and it was pretty serious for him. And my mother got sick as well, so he was in a bad state as well. And that's when he got a job that he got a call that he was being laid off from his job. And I think that was a big sort of punch in the gut. Why? Because my dad's never had any issues like that. So a guy who's worked for 40 plus years, or he's 40 plus and he's had a career of 20 plus years, never faced a hurdle in his work life, suddenly gets this news. And as a family, we would never assume it would happen to us, because until something happens to you, it doesn't exist. Or it doesn't exist for you. It's only at the very best you sympathize with people and you move on. So that happened, and then at that point it became a necessity to have a job. And I'm honestly grateful that at that point I did reach out with this personal thing to the person I was working with and stuff, and he did help me out with this. And I got a full-time position, and for the next 6 months, this is how I was able to support my family. And then Alhamdulillah, my dad, 6 months down the line, he found he got hired back by the same firm. And he started on, and then me, I've been with the same company for ever since.
From that role, looking at your profile, you're now in a leadership role. Okay, how was that transition? Because before that, you're just the guy who comes in, does your work, reports to your manager, and you go home.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be managing a team. You have a lot of different responsibilities. It's not just receivable aspects. You're looking at everything, all the processes.
Yeah.
How was the transition?
Yeah, workforce mobilization is there in any workplace. So even for me, I grew in terms of, obviously, as the business grows year on year, you have, and by the way, in this particular business model, I didn't find receivables to be a monotonous thing. I was constantly facing new sort of scenarios within the same sort of work, but new scenarios. So I always felt engaged. I never felt like I'm caught up into a lot of accountants, and they would complain that it's monotony. There's a lot of monotonous work. Maybe marketing people are happier, like, oh, we get to work on, although it's still marketing work, but maybe Vishal's making faces, so I don't know. Vishal, like, meet me afterwards, man. There needs to be another podcast about this one. But on me personally, as an individual, I'm not very fond of monotonous things, So I grew within the first year, within the same position in terms of work and exposure. And then, like I said, mobility in the workforce, it's always there. I was someone who was taking care of this position previously, moved to another job. I took over that position. So that's really how it happened. There was no some specific event that led to this being happening. It was just a normal transition between one position to another.
I meant more in terms of the work itself.
Okay. Yes, that was a huge, like, you get opened up to a much bigger universe, First you're handling, so there are cycles in the finance function. You have different cycles which contribute to the whole finance. So I was doing one cycle, and now I'm in charge technically of the whole cycle. And you have to work with, so I'm not going to get into too much of the technicalities, because we can have like an entire day on this, but I'd say there's a lot of stakeholders involved. Your vision, when you're looking, if previously you're dealing with a certain nature of transactions, that's completely gonna be overturned, and now you have exposure to like many different kinds of transactions. Sometimes you don't understand them, or you need to build your concepts. You need to have your concepts very clear about the finance structure of a company, so you can then take decisions. Otherwise, you cannot. You cannot objectively make decisions until you have the right set of data in front of you, financial data. For that, you need to forecast and budget and extrapolate and evaluate trends and look at the past data. But for you to do that, you need to have accurate past financial information. So, and that's done through bookkeeping, which is basically getting any transaction that happens in the company passed through a system to be recorded in the accounting software. And for that to be accurate, you need to make sure you have a good system of recording in the company. To make sure you have a good system of recording, you need to make sure the internal controls are tight. An example of an internal control is that if I am reimbursing an employee for a certain payment, he needs to present me an invoice for that payment. I can't just take his word for it. It's an example. There's a document which verifies the spending he's done. So all of these things that go hand in hand, and then you're basically working with a team that may have an intern and an associate, and you have someone you report to, and there is information, and finance is always at the center of, because every team spends and receives, and it always converges there. So it was a massive. You get thrown into a crash course, for 2, 3 months, 4 months, but it was great. It's good. Learning
good.
again.
Now, how's it now? Like, is it
Much more stable, much more easier. It's never easy.
Of course, it's not easy.
It's never easy. I speak to...
I said easier. I didn't say...
No, but for sure. With time, you become more confident, you learn more, you become more stable. It depends on how people support you around you. A lot comes from your personal, mental health, or your how you operate outside the workplace, and spirituality as well. That help you stay calm and just relax and just move on. I'm someone who gets very anxious if I don't know about things, and it makes me nervous. And if I'm nervous, I'm not able to work the same way. So I have to practice that side of me as well, where I need to sort of stay calm and just be with the process. So it worked out well eventually, and I'm enjoying it.
I have an interesting question, but I wouldn't ask you now. I would ask at the end of this segment. So please remind me if you are shifting to the next segment. It's a very interesting question, so I'll leave the suspense out there. But other than that, I would say, like, now we have this whole AI situation coming up, and we see a lot of reels, videos about it. We have the ChatGPT, which is, by the way, very interesting. ChatGPT now has an app. And I was using it yesterday for something, and then I asked it anything, that app, and it would just reply, like it would give you the accurate replies, whatever you need. So with all of this coming up, how is it looking towards the finance industry?
Okay.
And specifically to your job as well.
Okay. I think AI, well, firstly, we can all agree it's going to affect everything. But I'll tell you one thing. Money is so subjective, right? The way you handle your finances is not the same as he handles it. And the way he handles it is not the same I handle it. It's the same thing with companies. The way each company... So unless you align all the companies to conduct their financials at a standard, which might be communicated via an SOP or IFRS, which is International Financial Reporting Standards, or GAAP, which is by the US. There's a standards on how you record transactions. Even within these, there is a lot of room for subjectivity, But anyways, I'm saying these SOPs do exist, but a lot of places don't even follow them, right? So finances are happening. So if AI were to come and sort of, understand the structures, at least the structures need to be at a certain alignment, but they're so different company to company, right? So as of immediate effects, I don't see it. You're seeing it with design works, for example.
Yes.
Visuals and graphics.
Specifically, it has been
or
used
even in
more
the
designs and videos.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or like the vocal whatever, man. You've got these AI singers coming up, and by the way, some of them sound sick. Right? And you got these smart engines with their answers and stuff. So it will happen eventually. You can still go to ChatGPT, and there are certain what the editions you could call it, ChatGPT Plus, 4 Plus. It's paid, so I'm not going for it yet. But you can upload an Excel file with some data, and it can forecast for you. So those things are applicable. But when it comes to a whole upturn, it's not going to happen that soon. But yes, there is implications that, for example, audit is done by people and it's a very time-consuming process. So AI will come at a time where it could conduct the entire audit. An engagement that takes a week could be done maybe in a day or two. But still people need to be there because I said finance is so subjective. There needs to be a person who understands the A to Z.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So there still needs to be a person who will guide the AI.
Yeah.
Right.
On how to.
This was my follow-up question. Is it going to be risky for people, in terms of getting jobs out there? Because will AI replace them? Okay, very simple. Is AI going to replace humans in finance industry?
To be honest,
what do you think?
To be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. That's as honest as I can be. But professions do get obsolete with time. Not obsolete, actually. Nothing goes 100% obsolete. It's just that the things, so robotics when it comes to surgicals.
Right.
They've been, but that doesn't mean that doctors have been, banished out of the hospital. So it's not the case. But yeah, with time, people need to adjust themselves. Those who won't might find themselves in a difficult or more difficult situation. Those who do will adapt better, I guess.
Right.
What's
your point?
I think what he's saying has been a general consensus in all different fields, so far. All our guests have said that. But I think I'll tell you a funny fact, which when ChatGPT was released, it was made to do the CPA test in US.
What is the CPA test?
It's their accounting.
Chartered Public Accountant.
Chartered Public Accountants.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the US one. It's separate. Every country has their own. And it failed.
Oh, okay, it failed.
It failed. And that shows you how different the audit or the accounting or finance field is compared to different fields, the marketing or you have your design. So in terms of how Haseeb said, every company, every individual has their own way of managing their finances. So it's difficult for, have that one thing and one standard to be followed. So when it comes to AI, I feel like it will take a lot more time comparatively to other fields. And again, like you said, you need to adapt to it. It's not going to completely take over your jobs, but it will make your life easier in terms of, uploading an Excel, it filling out data. That just sorts of reduces the amount of he's going to spend on an Excel. So that's going to be good in terms of that. So I feel like it's not going to take over. It's just going to make a lot of accountants' life easier, especially working in startups where the team is smaller generally. So that's my take.
But then again, don't take our word for it.
Yep.
Guys, study hard.
Study hard. Study hard. And
honestly, all of this tomorrow will be proven wrong. Maybe ChatGPT just won't work one day, and then we all are screwed. So we don't know.
Yes. Finish your university, please.
On time.
Exactly, on time. Apply to jobs earlier.
Yeah.
But speaking about you said how every individual and different company handle their finances better. If I just come to you, does that role of studying accountancy and finance for almost half your life and then working in this role, how does that affect you managing your own finance? Do you ever consider that, or you're just like, you know what, all that knowledge just goes into the work, personal life, I'm just terrible at it?
Yeah. A lot of people complain. I saw one of your previous podcasts. There was a huge thing about engineers working everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Engineers finding themselves everywhere in banks and stuff. Finance, if you do study, it's not that what you study is exact, but a lot of the concepts, you see them in real life. The terms you use, the documents that you, or the formats that you study about, like the P&L, the balance sheet, it happens in real life. So there is overlap. It's not like you can say, oh, I studied this, but I never used it. That's not the case.
Right.
What you do study is what you see practically happening. How it happens practically, it's a different set of things. And then, of course, so that's there. And then when you execute it and you see, or when you deal with money at such a large scale, and you come up with these ideas about how to budget or save and this and that, of course, you start looking at your personal finances and you go like, what can I do to improve? So something I personally follow, and I want to encourage. I do. Okay. And I want to encourage everyone to do is I've now started getting into the habit of setting budgets at the start of the month, and I'm sure a lot of people do it. Right. But here's the catch: a lot of people do it mentally.
Right.
I'll spend this much this month
Yeah.
on this, but that never happens.
Okay, tell me how do you?
You have to bifurcate your cash when you get it. Okay.
So as in have 3 bank
I
accounts.
I need to charge you guys for this. This can't be going out for free.
No, but yeah, like having 3 bank accounts. One is your main account, one is your spend account, and one is
Yeah, exactly.
Is
Or
that
however you want to do it. You
Okay.
want to withdraw it and keep
or
it.
have the withdraw the cash.
Or
and
keep it, but I wouldn't recommend that. Obviously, why? Because natural disasters. Let's say worst case scenario, building catches a fire. God forbid.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be standing.
You lost all your cash. Yeah.
You'll be standing down, sir, giving me a call. You're the one who recommended that. Now this happened. Give me my reimbursement. Yeah. But once you do get it, man, if you want to be disciplined, see, money, it's like the minute it's so connected to, if you're out there doing groceries and you're hungry, you're bound to get 5-6 things which you don't need.
Yeah.
Right.
Why? Because your senses are triggered at that time. Your appetite is triggered. Same thing happens when you enter a mall. You see a nice perfume, let me just get it, man. We'll see what happens. I'll remove this surplus from somewhere else.
Right.
Never happens. So you wanna not punish yourself, but essentially you wanna commit to yourself that once you do get your salary, you bifurcate immediately. What you want to put in your savings, you go ahead and do it and don't touch it. Now, whatever happens. Same goes for your grocery. Same goes for your any other expense you want to go out, your utilities, etc. Just bifurcate your cash according to what you think is reasonable. But this is another thing you should not. Our personal belief is that you shouldn't save in a way that you don't have any quality of life left with the cash you have. This is your time. You are still hanging out with the people you like. So do enjoy it. So don't save like you're the last beggar left on earth.
Yeah.
Do save, but be reasonable with it. And that's it. It's
I've seen both kinds of people who just save and live a miserable life.
Yeah, even that's not good.
But according to them, they're living a very good life. But everyone has their own point of view. But then there are some people who don't save at all.
Yeah.
And spend everything. Maybe they are at in negative. At the end of the month.
Yeah.
I think you have to have that balance.
Yeah. And a way to dive in deeper, for example, me and now I've been going to the gym for a while. So I literally eat the same thing every day. I literally eat the same thing. I eat 3 meals a day and I eat the same thing. And I've been doing that for almost 2 months. So I know I've calculated the exact price points for these food items.
Right.
So we were 2 people because I'm married. So we end up spending about $250 a week on groceries and that's it. And there was a time when I wasn't married and I was eating
2000.
I was eating, ordering meals through different food delivery apps and stuff. And each meal we used to talk about this. It's like 40 at the bare minimum, even if you're getting
spending like 120, 150 a day.
A day. Yeah. And now I spend like $250 a week, just for the food that I eat. And it's good food and I'm happy with the way my diet plan's been going. I'm not saying eat the same thing every day. You need to be a separate kind of
but similar,
psycho for that.
Yeah, but something similar.
Similar, plan your food.
Yeah, let's meet after this podcast. We need to sit together for my financial planning.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can look at your finance. But I won't let you look at mine.
Do you want to ask your suspense?
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask was, I'll put it in very simple words, is that being from finance, because that how the money, the money of the company, you're reading everything, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that makes or breaks the company from financial point of view, in your experience?
Okay. Makes or breaks. Makes is obviously you get business.
Right.
You start making revenue.
As in cash flows.
You start collecting your revenues. Okay. You have a projection that allows you to break even within the planned period. So you're an entrepreneur. Today you came in with X investment.
Right.
And you can afford, and you obviously know about the business. You're not coming in cold-headed that you didn't do your research. With the cash that you have, you can run this business for another 8 months. Right? With the projections that you've done. And the company is going to break even within 8 months or max 9 months or 10 months. If you do break even in 8 months, great. You've thumbs up because what you projected and what you could afford, if you couldn't do it within 8 months and you're still not breaking even, maybe you'll go for a small credit line for another 2 months, 3 months, so on and so forth. But if it happens for an extended period, you're eventually going to go into an insolvent position, right? So make or break would be number one, to get the business and break even. Once you break even, you grow,
Right.
right? You grow your business, you scale your operations. You do that, then it's about sustaining your cash flow.
Right.
Okay, and making the right set of profits.
Right.
If you do your profits, if you make your profits, they're going to have a positive impact on your cash flow. If you start incurring losses, it's going to start impacting your cash flows. And companies go insolvent usually because their debt obligations are way higher than what they can afford, and they eventually have to declare bankruptcy.
So maybe that's what breaks a company.
That's what eventually, just losses are going to translate into your cash flow being in a deficit position.
Right.
And over time, you're not gonna have money in the business to meet your day-to-day obligations. You have to pay your suppliers, you have to pay the bank, you have to pay your tax, you have to pay your employees, you have to pay so many other people, right? You won't have the money, you have to pay off your credit cards, you have to pay off whatever obligations you have. You won't have the money to pay for it. So then you hire a liquidator who's gonna help you declare bankruptcy, and you're gonna sell your assets to pay off your liabilities or whatever you have outstanding. So yeah.
Okay. What has been your best and worst experience so far
With respect to
with respect to your job, your
And your work experience.
work experience? Yeah.
worst and best?
Yeah.
Honestly, okay, I'll be as honest as I can about it.
Yeah.
I've sort of narrowed it down to my days. I look at it now from a day's point of view.
Yeah.
If something happens in a day which is turned out to be in my favor, I consider it a good best.
Okay.
And if it doesn't, it's the worst.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'm able to keep up with the sort of pace I'm required to. That's it.
I think the question was more into the fact, so far in your work, in the years, any moment you just think, man, this really annoyed me. Like, how is this or dealing with this department or this person or supplier or maybe bank, something like that. Has that ever happened?
A worst moment.
Yeah, something that really annoyed you at work. You're like, man, what kind of question is this? Or a department which really,
Or somebody treated you bad, like the worst experience.
Yeah, so
there will be many, but something
millions.
that really, yeah.
A lot. Worst. No, I can't place a finger on the worst.
Yeah.
There's just bad experiences, and even when it comes to best, I can't. But I'll genuinely tell you something. The reason why I can't say this is the best, this is because that's work. It's bound to have certain achievements.
Right.
But I'll tell you the best things that do come out of it. Like for instance, meeting you guys.
Yeah.
It happened through work, and the friendships I made with you, everyone I know otherwise who's not present here at the moment. It happened through work, and you know how the amount of time you spend outside of work. We've played football.
Yeah.
We went so many sports. We hung out too much. We've the amount of memories we have, the amount of gamings we've done. It's as if I made.
Yeah.
So usually it's like you're never gonna make friends in the workplace like that.
Yeah.
You will make
Right.
acquaintances and good friends, but the last place where you make good friends is like school or uni.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that didn't happen for me. We made very good, this, you guys are like my new set of friends in Dubai. That's the best thing that could have come out of that. Till now it's never happened anywhere else. And you guys work now as well.
Yeah.
Even you guys know
True.
when you
Yeah,
guys
that's true.
talk about your workplaces, you guys,
true.
but not like, we know the people, but they're not.
like that one. Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the best thing.
Fair enough.
So for me, the best moments are I would see, as you work and you're working hard, you're bound to, not bound, but you should be growing.
Yeah.
If you're ambitious and you care about your things and you take the stress of going ahead in life, you will get. But the best things that come out are like this.
Yeah.
You meet the people. So much happened, right? Like then you guys met through work, and now you guys are doing podcasts together, and now you're inviting people.
Yeah.
Just think about that bubble that keeps.
Right.
So where does that happen? Nowhere. So it's lucky. That's the best thing that could have
It's
come
very
out.
less that you get.
Rare. It's quite rare.
Very
Yeah.
rare. Yes.
But I think I'll just keep two questions for you. One question, you mentioned something about spirituality and how that affects you. Would you say your aspect of being religious or something, does that affect your work life as well? Would you consider
1,000%, man. 150,000%. Why? Because it's as simple as this. When you start believing that I'll do this and this person will give me this, I'll do this and this person, if I it's not that the opposite of that means you start being a terrible person to people. No. But if you start having the faith that this person holds the power towards the thing that I want, maybe it a promotion or a pay raise or some sort of growth or helping me get another job. No, this is where you start losing out because you deviate from the right sort of mentality that you need in order to grow. Because people can switch up like this. Today they're with you, tomorrow they're not. Today I'm sitting with you, tomorrow I'm not. Today I'm in agreement, tomorrow I'm in disagreement. Today I respect you, tomorrow I disrespect you. You know, today I'm in front of your face, I'm amazing with you. Maybe behind your back I'm gossiping about you. So how are you going to trust that process? How as an individual who has 100%, not 100%, but I've 5% functioning brain, how are you going to trust that process? There's no logic to it. So you have to be spiritually connected in whatever way you are. See, I'll tell you an interesting thing. In this today's age and world, what are the things that are highlighted a lot? Eating healthy, going to the gym, taking care of your mental health. These things are coming to the limelight, right? What is one thing that's constantly suppressed as a concept? Spirituality. Because everywhere, like, I'm not pro-religion, people to each their own, right? But why is it that if spirituality does exist, there's a constant, why don't people get up and have a march against going to the gyms? Why? That's a positive thing. So is spirituality has been known across every culture to work and do wonders for people in whatever way this is. Sitting down, meditation, yoga, going to the church, going to the mandir, going to the mosque, going to the gym is, I wouldn't say it's a form of spirituality, but it's a form of recovery that you do get from spirituality as well. This is physical healing. That's spiritual healing. Why is there a constant, there's a lot of negativity about spirituality, but particularly religion. When it exists as such a mass concept across every community. Why? Because religion is linked to spirituality. So I'm not encouraging people to be religious, to each their own. I am religious and I deeply connect with it. And I have faith in certain things with God and with life. And I'm very true to that. So in that sense, you do your best. Then your mentality deviates. You're like, you do your best and we'll see.
Right.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, if I reflect on all the moments that have happened, can I actually cherry pick and say, no, this person did it for me, this person did it for me? If I look at the moments, man, like I was just talking about it. My dad lost his job. I immediately got hired. Who did that? I reached out to someone for help, but I can never say they're the ones who did it. I did work hard and I did deserve it. I could even credit myself for that, but that's not the case. I do believe
as a catalyst, people help you, they're just a catalyst.
Exactly. If I'm to visualize a scale in front of me, I lost something in my life, I immediately gained something in my life, and this scale is not controlled by a person. Why? Because I moved to so many different situations where there are so many different peoples, but the scale's always being managed. It's not being managed by people. So spirituality does play a big role in my life, and it's helped me get my head clear, and it's given me the confidence to make so many decisions that I maybe would have struggled with. One of them was getting married. A lot of people run away from the idea or the thing, we're young and we want to grow into our careers and stuff. But I think I would have been of the same mentality had I not approached it from a little religious point of view and realized that these are two independent streams. And to be honest, the kind of balance I've experienced in my life post-marriage, I didn't have it prior to that. So I'm very happy. So I would encourage everyone to get married.
That's your child.
Right.
Your turn.
I don't know who you guys are talking about.
Yes.
Right after this podcast, we're going for an online profile for you, make a profile for you.
On the Indian matrimony.
Matrimony websites,
To end the podcast, this is a question we ask all our guests. What is success to you? How would you define it? And do you think you've reached there, or where do you stand?
Success, 100%. It would be, some people would identify it with what they've achieved in their life in terms of wealth and career and this and that. No, for me, success is if I've carried my life, at the end of my life, if I look back and I see that everything that was there, I carried it in a good balance. I would give myself a pat on the back and I'd say, well done. Like if I had kids, I had a wife, she's happy with me, my kids are happy with me. I didn't give them wonders. But they can say, or, if someone talks about me, they say, he was a decent guy. They're not going to say, oh man, he was the best guy we met, used to do a ton of charity. We always saw him helping. No. He was he was a decent guy, you know. And
Yeah.
same, my kids say he was a good dad. Not amazing, best father in the world. He was a good dad. And my mom and my parents, even they're of the point of view, he was a good son. He was a decent son. And my siblings, and work-wise, I did decent. I provided.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go with no load on my back that I'd done something wrong to someone. I gained a bit of money by double crossing someone or something.
Yeah.
No. I feel like my slate was clean.
Yeah.
I did whatever I did organically, even if it was less and it was sufficient to my need. Okay.
Basically, a label of good person.
That for me is success in life.
A good person.
It's not material wealth.
Yeah.
It's not recognition or limelight within the people. It's just when people remember me, they say he was a decent guy.
Yeah. When you remember him, what do you think?
He's a good human being.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you can pat on your back.
Oh, okay. Good one, man.
Right, nice.
Yeah.
Well, Haseeb, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
It was great having you. Good insights.
Yeah.
I hope, Vishal understood a bit about accounting or
Oh, yes.
finance.
Yes. Now we can have our session about
How to
the
manage his
finances,
Yes,
the
yes.
personal finance.
My personal
I'll,
If anyone wants, their personal finance managed, you can reach out to Haseeb Malik.
yeah, I'll send you my fee structure later.
Yes. And again, thank you for coming.
Welcome.
And everyone else, we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Ciao.
Good luck. Bye-bye.